Booyah! Cyborg actor Ray Fisher forcefully retracts earlier support for Justice League director Joss Whedon. There's a lot of drama around Justice League. Of course, we've got the Snyder Cut on the way from HBO Max next year, and now we're getting some behind-the-scenes dirt on everything that went down regarding the Joss Whedon cut. Apparently, Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg, is not a big fan of Joss Whedon. He's had some really not very nice things to say on Twitter, and we're gonna talk about that because, of course, all this happens on Twitter. You know, everything happens on Twitter. So before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We thank you for the support. So there are multiple updates on this story. I'm going to use the IGN version. Cyborg actor Ray Fisher slams Justice League director Joss Whedon for abusive on-set behavior, and there are multiple updates. So here we go. Here's the original version from June 29th. Cyborg actor Ray Fisher was on stage alongside his fellow Justice League cast members at San Diego Comic-Con 2017 to promote Joss Whedon's reshoot, the re-edited version of the DC movie that Zack Snyder had originally been hired to make. Fisher said at the time, Joss is a great guy, and Zack picked a good person to come in and finish up for him. That was then. On Monday, Fisher tweeted a video of him saying those very words at San Diego Comic-Con 2017 with this caption, "I'd like to take a moment to forcefully retract every bit of this statement." Fisher, a theater actor who made his big screen debut in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, who actually, I think he did a pretty good job. I'm like, where's this guy from? Well, that explains it, because I guess he wasn't in anything prior to Dawn of Justice. I thought he was pretty decent. Before segging into Justice League, did not provide any further context for retracting his past praise of Whedon. It's unclear whether Fisher's slam is a personal beef with Whedon or simply about not liking the theatrical version of Justice League that Whedon shepherded, which was mandated to lighten up the darker tone of Snyder's version of the film. It's also worth noting that Jason Momoa's stone-faced expression and seemingly half-hearted nod reacting to Fisher's praise, yeah, he doesn't look like he's too happy. Fisher has been a supporter of Release the Snyder Cut on social media, given that Snyder gave Fisher, whose sole credit since 2017's Justice League was a recurring role on season 3 of HBO's True Detective, his start as a screen actor perhaps is a matter of loyalty for him. However, Joe Morton, who played Cyborg's dad, told IGN in 2017 that Whedon's reshoots were in part to alter the tone of the Cyborg character, a creative shift that could get to the heart of Fisher's retraction of his past praise for Whedon. Well, the stuff that I had to do were just really small little bits and pieces, nothing necessarily having to do with the tone. I know that Ray, the young man who plays Victor, there were some adjustments that they made in terms of the tone of the character, according to Morton. I think what I heard was there was a need from the studio to lighten up the film in a way that the film felt too dark. A Zack Snyder film feeling too dark? Really? I don't know what that meant in terms of how it actually got translated in terms of the reshoots, but that's what I heard. So this isn't the first time that Fisher has criticized creative personnel that worked on DC films. In June, he responded to a tweet from Suicide Squad director David Ayer, who answered a fan question about his film's timeline. In the tweet, Ayer claims Geoff Johns, the DC Comics writer who was also then a leading point on Warner Brothers' overhaul of the DC films, added an element to Suicide Squad, which was also infamously retooled before release, that he felt broke my timeline of Joker. To which Fisher replied, seemingly throwing shade at Johns, "I feel your pain." Geoff Johns. Okay, so that was then. That was on June 29th. Now, here's the first update. Ray Fisher has tweeted an explanation of why he wanted to forcefully retract his previous praise of Justice League director Joss Whedon, claiming Whedon's on-set treatment of the cast and crew of Justice League was gross. It was gross, and he blamed Geoff Johns. This is what he said. Joss Whedon's on-set treatment of the cast and crew of Justice League was gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable. He was enabled in many ways by Geoff Johns and John Berg. Accountability is greater than entertainment. And then we have another update. Justice League producer and former Warner Brothers co-president of production John Berg has fired back at Cyborg actor Ray Fisher, claiming that Berg and his former DC film execs Geoff Johns enabled any alleged bad behavior from director Joss Whedon on set, and also revealed one thing Fisher was upset about during the reshoots. Berg told Variety that it was categorically untrue that we enabled any unprofessional behavior. Berg also said Fisher was upset that the filmmakers wanted him to utter one of Cyborg's signature catchphrases from his small screen appearances. I remember Fisher being upset that we wanted him to say "BOOYAH! BOOYAH!" which is a well-known saying of Cyborg in the animated series. I actually liked that bit. I thought it was kind of funny. Berg and Johns also announced today they're reteaming with Justice League's Jason Momoa for a Frosty the Snowman movie, where Momoa will voice the title role. Okay. Now, there are some people out there defending Joss Whedon, including Alan Tudyk. He weighs in on accusations. This is coming from comicbook.com. Whedon was unprofessional on Justice League movie set. Tudyk wrote, "Wasn't there, but I've known Joss for 17 years. I honestly can't even imagine it, and I have a pretty good imagination." Of course, he was on Firefly, Serenity, and Dollhouse, and he's worked around Joss Whedon for a while. Many of the cast and crew expressed support for Fisher's statements, including Caitlin Burless, who was the stand-in and picture double for Gal Gadot on Justice League. She commented on Fisher's Instagram retraction statement with an LOL same. Photographer Clay Enos liked Fisher's post on Vero as well. And Enos has talked a bit about Snyder's original cut of the film over the years. It's worth noting that Snyder also liked the same post. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So, it seems like there's more to the Snyder Cut than just getting a better version of the movie. It seems like a lot of the people maybe working on the film were not happy with how the film turned out. In fact, the Snyder Cut seems to be luring Henry Cavill back into the role of Superman. The possibility that maybe the DCEU is not done for. Maybe they can salvage this thing. Who knows? Then we're supposed to be getting a Flash movie with Michael Keaton Batman for some reason. I don't know, but pretty interesting. I'm waiting for Joss Whedon to make a statement. I'm sure he will at some point. Looking on Twitter, he hasn't said anything on Twitter, as far as I know. Just talking about Buffy. Maybe he's just not gonna say anything. Who knows? I'm gonna wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk to you guys later. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.